we need to talk. Today I have lots to say about The Last Wish, which is the introductory book into the Witcher series. It consists of a bunch of short stories. I would love to hear your thoughts. If we could please keep all comments and discussions just to the first book for obvious reasons, but also massive book spoilers for this book. I will be discussing it, so if you haven't read it yet, I do recommend you consider it. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing as well as following me on other platforms, for example on Instagram if you like fantasy style photo shoots. Also stream on Twitch, and I'm doing my very first gameplay playthrough of The Witcher 3, which is what brings me to this. I think it would be safe to assume that most people start getting into this universe from the games or maybe the TV series, I'm not sure. And then later on, they want to learn more about the universe and read the books. People keep saying it's quite uncommon for what I am doing, where I'm actually reading the books alongside playing The Witcher 3. Honestly, I don't know if it's a good idea. The reason I've done this is I'm an avid reader. I particularly enjoy horror and sci-fi. I don't hate fantasy, obviously, but I'm not really big on fantasy just because I'm scared to get into a long series that fizzles out like a bad TV show. You know, when you get like invested in a great show and it starts off amazing and then it just, but you're like committed and then you finish it and you're like, why did I bother? I guess I have this kind of trepidation of I get scared to get into long fantasy novels or series just because I've been burned before, and I'm trying to change that mindset. And what has definitely helped is basically I uploaded a YouTube video reaction to the Killing Monsters cinematic trailer to the Witcher 3 game because I was like, hey, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna react to the cinematic first because I'm really looking forward to this game. So many comments were like, please read the books. I have you guys to thank for that as well. So that's where I am at the moment. I'm about 30 hours into the game and I've just finished The Last Wish. And I am a little bit nervous if I'm doing the right thing here because I understand that the books take place prior to The Witcher 3. So I am hoping reading the books will just give me some backstory and some context and maybe some little Easter eggs in the game that I might not have clicked onto otherwise. But I am a little bit worried that there's going to be possibly some spoilers depending on where I am at in the books or the game of a lot of similarity. The Striga, so the child that has been the princess that has been locked away and she eats people. A lot of similarities to the Bloody Baron and the Botchling. From the way Geralt deals with a monster attacking at midnight, the mothers, Ada and Anna, and, you know, royalty. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything in case you haven't played the game yet, but like there's a lot of similarities. So I'm feeling a little bit unsure if I am doing the right thing reading alongside, but hopefully the context and the backstory will outweigh hopefully not the spoilers, but I think there might be a couple of spoilers. And going into the books after only having at that time a few hours experience in the game and just seeing the Killing Monsters cinematic, I was kind of concerned that it was going to be really depressing, and I wasn't sure if like I would be in the right headspace for such a depressing series, and it is. It's really depressing. So also, Sapkowski's hilarious. I didn't expect Geralt to have such dry humor, and there's just so many scenes that are genuinely really funny. For example, the chapter A Question of Price, where the widowed queen, she's trying to find a husband for her daughter, the princess. The bit where the fight breaks out in the banquet, where like the princess is wailing and there's like she's green lightning and there's a banquet of boars that people are falling over and they're fighting and there's someone playing the bagpipes. If you're one of those people like me where when you read, I don't know how to explain this, but instead of just like reading the text in the book, you kind of start to zone not out but more into the book and you start to imagine it all in your head. It paints a great thing. It's so funny. I'd also say that some chapters and this I guess is a normal thing, it's no criticism, but some chapters I did prefer to others. I also found it quite overwhelming, just the introduction of so many characters, which is something again I'm feeling the same way about the game, but it also is probably because I'm streaming and there's a lot of things going on at the same time when you live stream that a lot of things just kind of go over my head, but I guess that's what replayability and rereading is for. But I am struggling to learn all these characters. In particular, the voice of reason chapters, and there's like I don't know what they are. Are they a cult? Are they a religion? I don't know. There's a lot of people. There's like, I don't know. And speaking of characters, one of my favorite characters is Dandelion. I will be using that pronunciation because I was a little bit confused because in the book, it's spelled Dandelion. And I was saying Dandelion on live stream and people were like, why are you saying it like that? I'm like, but it's Dandelion in the books. Turns out it was, and this, I digress, but apparently it was like a mistranslation to the English books that they mistranslated to Dandelion in the first one, but he is Dandelion. What a lovable fuckwit that man is. I'm really enjoying the chapters he's in, including in particular the one where Geralt and Dandelion are fighting over the correct way to reel in a catfish. And one thing leads to another, and that is how we are introduced to Yennefer by such like a ridiculous scene. I really loved that. And speaking of chaotic banquets, that chapter then where Yennefer and Geralt are fighting and she creates a teleportation and they go into this like high society banquet by accident and they are still like going at it and fighting, and her dress slips and she's got like a titty flopping out and there's oysters. They're fighting over like a platter of oysters and there's like oysters getting stuck in her dress and like they just don't care. They just keep fighting. What a great chapter. I really, really love that one, and the way it ended too. I would have been happy if the book just ended there where like, you know. Speaking of smuttiness as well, like, you know how Witcher 3 starts off with a really smutty scene where Yennefer pranks Geralt by like trying to put like a crab looking thing in his hot tub? The book is the same. Starts off smutty, and I was not surprised. But I digress. Yeah, so that scene where they're making love in the building that collapsed, I would have been happy if the book ended there. And then when I got into the last chapter, I was like, what's all this? But I understand it's to line up for the second book. But yeah, I really loved the story of how he met Yennefer. It is so funny. And I also enjoyed the little nods to folklore. So the second chapter, The Grain of Truth, I noticed so many, I mean, at first I thought I was tripping balls, but there are so many similarities to Beauty and the Beast, from like a beast man that lives in a grand house that all the villagers are afraid of, to the roses, the house that's like fully kind of automated to his command. You know how he has like the teapot chip and stuff in the movie. And then the curse having to be broken by true love. I thought that was Disney's fellow. I didn't realize that this book has a lot of nods to folklore. And I've learned a lot. They're like, no, Disney doesn't actually own Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and Snow White. These go way back. I went on such a deep dive. For example, Cinderella. The first recording of Cinderella is 2,000 years old. So yeah, I was like, oh my God, Disney's gonna sue. Why hasn't Disney sued Sapkowski? What's going on? I digress. There's a lot of, nods and ways he's woven folklore and fairy tales into his own thing, his own story. He's translated them into his own way. And then the little nod to Cinderella and the glass slipper in the question of price chapter. And then last but not least, Renfrey, aka the Shrike. She's an interesting character. She died. I'm pretty sure she's definitely sadly dead, right? Like, she bled out, but I really liked her. Kind of sad. But yeah, she was very similar to Snow White. So she was an ostracized princess who someone had sent off a huntsman to kill, bring back her liver and heart, and then she lived with not dwarves, but the 7 gnomes. Yeah, so all these similarities made me go on a massive deep dive. I'm really looking forward to learning more as well about Slavic folklore and learning more about the Witcher universe. And another thing I'm looking forward to is the elves. So the elves in this book, they are kind of ostracized from society. They're living it really tough in the mountains. They're starving, which is very different to how elves are usually portrayed. I mean, both times they live in the woods, but yeah, like they're kind of fucked. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the elves. So yeah, that's my thoughts right now. I'm knowing me, I'm gonna end this recording and then realize a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about, but it's too late. But yeah, very easy reads. I mean that in a good way, as in I didn't get bored and I couldn't put it down. I'm really looking forward to learning more and just consuming all the backstory and information of Geralt in this universe. So what are your thoughts on The Last Wish? Please do share them below. And if you'd like to help me, please do leave a like and a comment would really help me out. If you don't know what to type, just write algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe and follow me elsewhere, especially Instagram, if you like fantasy styled photo shoots and cinematic videography. I'd really appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna go read the second one now. Thank you for watching. Bye.